What up, what up, what up? It's your favorite podcast with your favorite podcast host. Talking your favorite podcast message. Talking the favorite podcast stuff. What's happening? It's Freewenow. It's Freewenow. Freewenow. It's Freewenow.
Till it is. 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 It is. It is. Backwards.
What up, what up? We back. It's Freewenow.
Till it is. Backwards.
Yes, sir, Ski. Look, we're back and we are talking about another Bible story, right? So I love these Bible stories. I'm telling you, it's cinema on paper.
A little Netflix.
A little Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Netflix has nothing on the Bible stories, right? And so now we are diving into the story of Elisha, right? Not Elijah, Elisha, right? And the widow's oil being multiplied, right? So anything for the people before we get into it?
Nah, man, just read yourself. Study. As we said, we're not experts. We're going through this in real time. This is real growth. This is development of foundation and faith. Study yourself and you'll get somewhere.
Facts. So Elisha, right? Elisha is the apprentice, if you will. He is the mentee for Elijah, the mentor. So previously in another episode, we talked about Elijah, the mentor, right? Defeating and killing all the prophets of Baal, right? That were, under King Ahab and Jezebel and Queen Jezebel, right? So now we are picking up in a story where Elijah now has a mentee, Elisha, okay? And so it's important to note that, Elisha is now taking over for this prophet of Israel title, okay? Elijah was, if you don't know about Elijah, you should go study him, okay? I'll give you some of his miracles, all right? He declared that there will be no rain for 3 years. He had ravens, birds, like the Baltimore Ravens, those are birds, right? He had ravens feed him by a brook. He multiplied oil and flour for another widow. He raised a widow's son from the dead. He brought fire from heaven on Mount Carmel with Baal and their prophets, right? He defeated them. He prayed and then rain actually returned. He called down fire twice to kill other soldiers, right? He parted the Jordan River and he was taken to heaven in just a whirlwind, right? And some chariots of fire. Didn't even die. He just ascended into heaven.
Like that.
So he's like that, okay? And so now we're picking up where Elijah has just defeated the prophets of Baal. He has now anointed Elisha as his predecessor. And now he is in a scene and Elisha is asked by Elijah, hey, man, Elijah's like, what do you want me to do before I leave? I'm about to leave. I'm about to ascend to heaven. I'm about to leave earth. You about to be on your own. What is something that I can do for you, right? And Elisha was like, give me a double portion of your spirit. Who you are, your greatness, your spirit, I want a double portion of that. Which is times two, which is heavy. You know what I'm saying? That's like a superhero having a predecessor and it's like, what do you want? I want to be you times two. You know what I'm saying? I want to be Superman times two. I want to be Iron Man times two.
Superman.
You know what I'm saying? You Superman. You super duper man. You super duper man. Okay? So this is Elisha, right? His mentee. And now he's got a double portion. And now we're picking up where in the story where he is going to help out one of his partners and his crew. He dies, right? They got a crew of prophets. One of the prophets dies, and now his wife, who's now a widow, got some issues.
All right, man. So as we said, Elijah was one of those ones.
Yes.
And as we said, a good tree can only bring forth good fruit. So now he got Elisha.
Right.
With a double portion, put a little extra on it.
A little
sazon.
A little sazon.
A little sazon on it. You know what I'm saying? So now you have Elisha. And as we said, one of the widows, her husband died. Now, if y'all been listening to our podcast, the widow's husband is none other than Abadiah. Now, Abadiah is one of those ones too. He was one of King Ahab's people, but he was also, even more importantly, one of God's people. So, what you do, it definitely helps out.
Facts.
So the widow's crying out, Elijah, I need your help. I need your help. My husband is dead. And don't forget, not only is my husband dead, but he was one of your people.
Right.
He was a servant of God. He just wasn't no regular dude. He was like that. He was out here putting foot to ground. He was doing the thing. And they're like, okay. But now the creditors are coming. Now Elisha, he's gone. So as back in the days, women value almost in a sense was determined by their husband. How much they had was determined by the work their husband put in. Now Elijah had it like that. He was buying her Gucci bags, Birkins. They had new Rolls Royces. They had everything. They had land. But when he died, all that was gone. The same people that partied and parlayed with her looked down on her. She was no longer in that prominence. So much that the people that they owed money to were coming to take her sons to make them slaves. You can't pay up, so we taking something from you. Now she wasn't having none of that. She had to ask Elijah, hey, I need your help. Now, Elijah kept it real simple. What do you need? You're asking me for help, but really, what do you need? And not only what do you need, what do you got? What do you need and what do you have?
Right.
She said, I ain't got nothing. I have nothing but a little funky pot of oil. I got a little pot of oil at the crib, but I don't have nothing else. Elijah said, okay, I'm about to give a testament of your faith right now. Go to every single neighbor and get pots. Not just a few. Get as many pots as you can. Half full pots, slightly empty pots, maybe a broken pot. Get every pot that you can find, and you gather and you bring it back. So she does the right thing. She gets the pot. Her and her sons running around, bargaining, trying to get pots. They get a bunch of pots. And he says, when you get these pots, I want you to go in your house and shut the door. Now, remember when I say shut the door, because I'm going to kind of use a theory later on. But shut the door. And when you shut the door, fill the pots up. And when you fill those pots up, set them aside. Now, she said she only had one pot of oil, so this don't really make sense. I don't understand how she filling up 100, 300 pots of oil with one pot of oil. That don't make sense.
Right.
That don't make sense. But she do it. And she kept pouring and pouring so much that she had asked her son for another pot. He said, we ain't got no more, Ma.
We out.
All the pots is full. So to her amazement, I'm pretty sure everybody's amazed. She says, okay. Not until every pot is full did the original pot run out.
Right.
So she goes out to Elijah. She says, what you said happened, all the pots is full.
Yeah.
He said, I need you to go do this. Go to the market and sell these pots, and whatever's left, you and your family can live off of. Whatever's you have, go sell it, and whatever's left, your family can live off of. This story, though very short in the biblical sense, is prominent. It shows so many different lessons in such a short text. And I'll start with this right before I get to my theory. What do you need and what do you have? What do you need and what do you have? A lot of times we are so quick to discount. We are so quick to neglect the abilities that we have on our inside that we see it as nothing. When he asked her, what did you have? She said, I have nothing but this pot of oil. I don't have nothing but my voice. I don't have nothing but my family. I don't have nothing but my friends. I don't have nothing but a car. We have so many different means that we neglect because we see, in our sense, a lack of abundance. God's abundance will always overcome human limitation. Let me say that one more time. God's abundance will always overcome human limitation. She's seen a pot of oil as something to just discount. It's not important. I can't do nothing with this. And God said, I'm going to take that which you lack and make it your abundance. I'm going to show you that the strength I have, the abilities that I'm capable of having, is going to turn what you have nothing of into the thing that makes you back to relevance.
Facts.
Or makes you back to whatever sense that you had. This woman was losing everything. She lost her husband. She was about to lose her sons as slaves. And God took a pot of oil and made her and gave it to her the ability to not only sell, but supply her family for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, bro.
What do you need and what do you have?
I mean, I feel it. I feel personally attacked. I feel personally attacked. You know what I'm saying? Because reading the story, I have in the past tend to focus on what I was missing.
Same.
Right? Focused on what I lacked. And I say this all the time. The more things change, the more things stay the same. So this is a direct example of the original fall of man with Adam and Eve. They had everything that they wanted. So instead of focusing on everything that they had, right, everything that they could possibly ever desire, they started focusing on what was missing, right? And so if you, in that story of Adam and Eve, the tree of knowledge and evil, right, was in the middle of the entire Garden of Eden. So they had to walk past everything that they had to get to this one tree of something that they didn't have, right? So they had to ignore everything that was around them to get to this one thing that they felt like they were missing, right? And that's what caused their fall. In this situation, she is looking past this pot of oil that she has and focusing on everything that she's missing. I, in my past, have been focusing on, we don't have a camera. We don't have this. We don't have that. We don't have something to say. We don't have, I may not be an expert. I don't think I can say this on the camera because I don't know that much about it. When in reality, in 2026, one of the things that I personally will be working on is focus on everything that I have. I'm going to focus on everything I have. I'm just focusing on my strength and my skills. That's it. In 2026, I'm focusing on my gifts and I'm focusing on my strengths. I ain't focusing on nothing else. I'm going to just focus on everything I have and screw what I'm missing. Screw it. It don't matter. I'm going to always be missing something. And I'm going to trust in God to deliver me from the things that I'm missing. I'm going to focus on everything that I have. So I felt personally attacked, but I'm going to use this story and that thing that you just brought up, right? In order for God to do a miracle in your life, you got to focus in on what you have. The miracles don't come until you focus on what he's already given you. So if you want a miracle in 2026, if you want your life to be drastically changed, before that happens, before God can act, he's going to ask you to focus on what you already have. So focus on that first before you start asking for a miracle.
That's big. And one thing also I want to go into, right, is kind of my theory, right? So if you read a little bit further past the story that we talked about, Elijah does another miracle, right? He brings a lady's son. Well, actually, he helps her get a son, right? She has a son dies, and he helps bring the son back to life, right? But it always, in that sense, says shut the door. Go in and shut the door. Go in and shut the door.
Even when we talked about Noah's Ark, what did it say? And the door
shut the door.
And the door shut behind them.
So it's like, I'm like, okay, there has to be some relevance, or there has to be some maybe underlining message to it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I have the most developed message on it, but I am going to say this. I think that God does the true work on you in the private. That is why he made her go in there with the pots of oil and shut the door so that she could be alone with her work with God. It's not something that always has to be a grand scheme or something that always has to be put on display. A lot of the work that God does, a lot of the miracles that God does are done in private. So when we go out in public, people know it wasn't just us. You know what I'm saying? There is no trail to lead back to like, okay, this makes sense. They were always out in the public eye. Everything was always going great. No, he did the most work on her in a private sense. So that shows me that our relationship with God takes work when nobody can see it. Our foundation takes work when nobody can view it. Our love takes work when nobody has sight of it. Who we are and how our relationship develops with God is done in private, and then it is displayed in public.
I agree with you, bro. And I caught that too. And I put that in my notes.
That's super huge, because I'm like, why did he tell her to shut the door? Why wasn't she on the front porch pouring out the pots and selling them at the same time?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people will probably look at her and be like, oh, she's the one that did the miracle.
Right.
Now they have to listen to, as you said before, you got to have some testimonies with your work.
Right.
Now they can see the testimony of her like, hey, I did this work in private with God. And maybe she doesn't even need to communicate that to them. They'll see it. They'll understand this work that's done in private. Do some work in private. Do some work when nobody can see you.
Right.
Everybody ain't going to know when you go to the gym. Everybody ain't going to know when you made an investment. Everybody ain't going to know when you bought a crib. Everybody ain't going to know when you put in this work. Do some work in private. Because when it goes public, you need to have that foundation of faith so that it doesn't get twisted.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? It's on that note, right? You said, do the work with God that people can't see. So when you open the door, they'll see the glory, you feel me, of what you can see now. So the glory, what is it? Maybe it's not the best example, but the song, This Is My Story, right? But you don't know my glory, right? Like the work that God does on you that people can't see ends up being the glory that people can see. You know what I'm saying? So You have to have that solitude, bro. You have to go in there where there's no distractions, because you don't want somebody walking past your crib talking about, hey, what y'all doing? You gonna pour some pots in the oil and it's gonna keep flowing? Why you didn't get this pot? You should have got another pot. That oil about to stop soon. You better hurry up. Like, the distractions, bro, and the focus, bro. Like, just focus on what God told you to do and don't worry about anything else. Focus on what you have. Focus on what God told you to do and rule out any distractions, any focus. Shut the door behind you for anybody that is not going to be able to believe to the level that you need to believe for your life to turn around. Shut the door. Shut the door on that relationship. Shut the door on that podcast that may not be feeding you. Shut the door on anything toxic on Netflix or TV or YouTube or anything that you're watching that's going to prevent you from being able to believe to the faith ability that is possible for you. Because if you notice, it says the oil stopped pouring when they ran out of vessels. So God only blesses you to the level of your faith. If they would have gotten more vessels, the oil would have kept pouring. If they would have drove out of town to get more vessels and brought them back, all of those would have been filled. Right? So shut the door on anything that prevents you from believing to the highest level possible for your miracle and that to come to pass. You don't need any distractions. And notice that she had to use what she had, have faith, obey, and then do something. So if you want a miracle, you're not just going to be able to sit down, change the channel, and then the miracle just going to happen. Oh my gosh. Like, you're going to have to believe that God is going to bless you based off of what you have. Even though she originally didn't say, hey, I don't have anything but this jar. She did say that, right? At some point she believed, okay, this is possible. Because she went out and actually gathered the vessels before the oil started pouring. She went out and actually gathered everything before the miracle happened. So you got to do some work before the miracle happens. Because God says what? Show me your faith through your actions. Faith without works is dead. So if you want a miracle, that's cool. You still gonna have to do something. Very much something. You got to do very much something, right? And then the last part of this, right, is that God said, now go back and sell it. Go back and sell it. So your gifts, don't feel bad for selling what you create. Don't feel bad for creating a business. The money is not going to rain from the sky. It's a lot of aspects of this, and we're going to bundle it up. You got to have faith to use your gifts that God has already given you. You're going to obey him and create a business based off your gifts that align with God. We're not just going to start creating businesses because we saw a $9.99 course on New Year's Day. And we're not going to do something that's outside of our gifts. So use your gifts to create a business that's aligned with your gifts and obey God with what you're supposed to do, and then sell it. Don't feel bad for selling it. Okay, a lot of times we got this survivor's remorse syndrome where we feel like we got to give everything away for free. She did that, got a miracle, and God didn't say give it away for free. God didn't say, oh, you shouldn't be charging them folks for that oil I just gave you for free. Your gifts are for free, but the other is so separate. You know what I'm saying? Like, God gave you your gifts for free so you can sell it. And then he says, you're going to be so profitable, you're going to be able to live off the rest. She got kids. She got sons. I'm pretty sure they eat.
No, they eat.
I'm pretty, like Keith described, they was having before this happened. It was Obadiah's wife. They were in the kings. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were under a kingdom that he was the main person. He was the Speaker of the House of Representatives. He ran the show. And now they don't have any. He said, you're going to be able to live off the rest? I'm pretty sure that's 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Your son's going to have to be good off that too. This generational wealth. So your gifts and the business that you create is going to create generational wealth, but you got to be obedient and do what he told you to do based off what he's giving you. Rewind that back. That was a lot. And I'm speaking to myself. I want miracles in my life. Why you think we right here today?
That's big. And one thing also I want to touch on, right? As he said, hey, there ain't nothing wrong with selling it. Now, we're not talking about that type of selling it.
We're not talking about that type of selling it.
Selling your
Your
gifts.
gifts It's not your body.
Yeah, it's not. We're not talking about that type of selling it. We're talking about there's nothing wrong with selling it. And the reason this kind of strikes home, right? I was watching a sermon this morning, right? I watched some sermons about, some of the stories that we talk about so I can get a better understanding of the message that is being presented, right? And the pastor says something that like really strikes home and really makes a lot of sense. People don't value things that they don't invest in. People don't value things that they don't invest in. When you get stuff for free, you don't value it. If she would have just been giving out pots of oils for free, people wouldn't value it. They wouldn't be able to understand and value the glory of God that she's giving to them in real time. When you let somebody borrow your car and they didn't pay for it, they treat it however they want because they don't value it. When you give somebody and give somebody and give somebody something, they don't value it. You become their crutch. That is why it's important to sell these gifts. That's why it's important to sometimes sell this knowledge or sometimes sell this opportunity so that people can value. When you invest in something, you value it. That's why God asks for shows of faith. That's why he made her go out and get all those pots before he allowed her to pour an overflowing amount of oil. She had to invest in it. Her and her sons had to spend their time going from door to door. And you may not think the prominence of this, but they was, like he said, they was having it. So now they're at door to door begging.
You went from having and now you door to door?
Begging. Hey, yo, I just need a pot. I just need a pot. I just need something. Can you help me out? They went from the top of the top to asking people door to door for pots. It's a show of faith so that when she got back to that promise, they like, hold up, she was just at my door asking for a pot. Now she got all this oil? Hold on. Who she know?
She's selling the oil from the pots that she just borrowed from him.
Who she know? How you do that?
How you do that?
How you do that?
How you do that?
You know what I'm saying? So like, it's God. It gotta be God. God did it. God did. What'd he say? God did. Shout out DJ Khaled. What'd he say? God did. So it's okay sometimes to sell these so that people can understand the importance and the value.
On that note of God did, right? I think that's why we've mentioned, or you mentioned earlier, doing the work in private. Because people can't see it, right? So when they do see it and they look at this and they don't have any way of being involved with it, they're like, how did that happen? God shuts the door and wants you to shut the door. So now when you open the door and they see you, the only explanation is God did. You feel me? And sell it, bro. Like, business is through the Bible. There's business in the Bible. Sell that. And so your family can live off of it. Do you know how humble it is to go from door to door and beg for a pot after you being the top of the top? After you having Givenchy, Dior, you got Louis Vuitton sneakers, and now your son's about to be sold into slavery. Now, like you say, you got to go to door and ask for a pot?
A pot.
I got to ask for a pot? You ain't got a pot in the window to throw it out of.
Yeah.
You got to ask for a pot? Imagine what they were asking and saying, what you need a pot for?
What you need a pot for?
Yeah, I thought y'all ain't got no pots. I thought y'all used to be, ain't you Obadiah's son?
And they closed the door. They broke now.
Man, get them folks some pots.
Pots.
Now that we out here buying these pots for $1,000 and a subscription for $100 a month.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Overfloweth.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Shout out my dudes.
You know what I'm talking about? But that's what it is though. So don't want to lose the plot, right? Again, we talked about a lot of things. Use your faith for what you have already. Don't look for nothing else. Don't look for God to give you something you don't already have. You already the person that you're supposed to be. You already got the gifts that you're supposed to have. Create a business and be obedient in what God wants you to do with it, right? Align with him. And then 3, sell it and live off the rest. What you got? Anything else?
Hey, I ain't got nothing else, man. That was a lot wrapped into these stories. I will say this lesson, read for yourself. Read and study. Don't take our word for it. Do your own research.
Freewenow.
Till it is backwards.
Yes, sir, Ski.